One of all the staff members and our friends. This is ARUNESWARAN from Mechanical Engineering in National Engineering College, studying in end semester examination. In my IoT based cold storage project is my topic. So here I want to discuss how my project is working condition of the process. So I want to share my screen. In cold storage, that means it is one of the widely practiced method for bulk handling process. That means it's one of the difficult process. Then in between of the production and marketing processing, this is one of the major criteria to maintain or to monitor for the cold storage, whether in the container tank or any other industry. It is one of the methods for reserving, that means for preservative any products for the commodities in fresh and wholesome state for longer period, like controlling temperature and humidity within the storage system monitoring way. The maintaining process is adequately temperature, also the relative humidity in a storeroom should be kept as a high, about 80 to 90 percentage is one of the approximate result for the most perishables products, or above, which is a detrimental effect on the keeping quality of the products, the production of the producing constants. The suitable storage temperature and humidity of different fruits and vegetables or different in a temperature or any other humidity that have mean there are not maintained in the same conditions, that they have a particular criteria conditioning process. So the suitable storage, for the example, the suitable storage temperature of apple is 1 to 5 degrees Celsius. That means in a 0 degree with the negative, so it will comes under the negative condition. Whether the condition of temperature in 0, it is one of the neutral stage. In next level, it goes in a liquid condition, and the humidity is very high, 85 to 95%. This is for the particular produce apple. Next, for the problem statement, for the cold storage monitoring system, in here I consider this a monitoring system for the organizing, managing, and maintaining. In the cold storage, it's run a smoothly and efficiently manner way. Even though some of these processes are automated and seem error-free, whether every warehouse operation process, it may happen as some mistakes and challenges. How to maintain this temperature and humidity with the consideration of the limited condition. But in temperature and humidity, these are unlimited. So we want to consider that in the limited stage. Then only the process is maintained as a continuous. In proposed system, when the advanced solution for monitoring and the live operating system for the temperature and humidity is the very major role, and it is different points in a way any specific locations. The next slide is an objective for the customer satisfaction of improvement of the product with the use of internet of things, to the temperature and humidity for the real-time application, to the measuring of the systematic consumption. Next, for the benefits, for the time management, productivity improvement with the advanced analytics, maintaining regularity, compliance, and remote location. That means in any um, using a gadget devices, that means electronic or in smartphone or any other electronic remote locations, it would be accessibility, and it is like a supply chain, and it is look like a transparency that the people's have the satisfaction and well known about the process. but this project is not competent to leak out their secret operating functions. But the process will know, mm, but the operation process or operating manipulation system is not be shared in any outer outer area. It is one of the secret for our project criteria. This is our important criteria for the project consideration. The next, for the working system. Sorry guys, in there I have missed some point. In this, the node MCU board is one of the major role, but here the power supplies also happen. So the power supply is whether we use here, we use the power supply or without. But the sensor and the Wi-Fi module is very important. Then only the sensor, that means the temperature and humidity, this combination sensor is implemented to the microcontroller unit node board. That node, then it collect the analog signal and it convert to digital to the Wi-Fi module, or it converts the analog to the Wi-Fi module and it convert that signals to the output of digital moduling process. Then it gets used as one of the monitoring device, the controlling system, like whether we use in a smartphone access or remote location access. For here we see that power supply sources. Then here the administrator login process. But here the first time I have done this project, there's an admin login authentication. First time I have got failure because in authentication there are some mistakes. But in initial stage I have don't know what the methods are happened. So then it gone as a failure, and that and that resource is stepped back to me again login process. Then I have authenticate what are the criteria are happened. Then I have analyzed what the mistakes, and then I rectified. Then it is access to the next, that is user profile. This user profile is for whenever you or we are the first admin user login, we use this user profile to create our profile, that means any information. And if we need to monitor, we go to the monitor section, or monitoring system section. Or we or not urgent, or we know we not need to monitor now, this time means we are perfectly log out. Then when we used to monitoring, go to the monitor section and see and connect to the mobile phones. Then in mobile phone you view temperature and humidity sensor for the cooling condition to the maintaining purpose for the target beneficiary. In food beverage, I said that restaurant industry or agriculture industry or the medical industry, blood banks, healthcare industry, and instrument using industry. But here, the cooling system monitoring devices used in a food beverage, medical, blood banks. In healthcare and instrument agriculture, there are few only. But but the restaurant, medical, and blood banks, there are the cooling monitoring is a major, because in blood banks and medical, this is one of the medical field. Blood banks and pharmaceutical, it is these two comes under the medical industry. Healthcare also comes in the medical industry, but it's one of the health checkup monitoring process, that means for our blood pressure or that like only. But in a pharma, pharmaceutical and blood banks, um, these are the these are the medical treatment company process. So in blood banks, whether one patient has gone a accident, in a major accident, then he loses his blood, means he have that blood, whether the similar particular groups, they will take in a cold storage only, because when the blood is accessed in a heat temperature, it would it consumes air conditioning and the impurities. So in cold, it will remove that impurities and it would preserve it preserved. So in that cases, so we use that condition. So the restaurant industry is also the vegetables, fruits, or any other non-veg items, that means meat, that check process for the application. We know that these are all the important, but in a monitoring of the substance conditions, it's one of the major categorical process for the cold storage monitoring, energy monitoring, environment monitoring, e-charging point, any of the criteria. This is our code spreadsheet. For the first time process, we have used that code in a Google spreadsheet. So for our convenience, how the code is accessed for, first of all, whenever we go to the IoT based, first of all we want to need to access that code in any other Google gadgets, that like a spreadsheet or any other Word document. If that code is accessible, so we have the confidence, okay, the code is uh, normally is given the result. So then next we will use that code in a Arduino board or main also know Python. In that Python code, it's access what is the list. That means whether it considers a temperature or humidity, or whether the interval of the temperature and humidity, what are the intervals is applied in that cases. So it is one of the, so in this code, the temperature and humidity text are known as a self root identity system. So in this case, the self-root identity systems are two. One is temperature and humidity sensor. For the Google spread, for the monitoring temperature in code, the Google spreadsheet of the code is imported. In Google code, Google spreadsheet, the service account, that means whether it have any failure or any other damaged process, it would be service, and it would be re-occurred or repaired. The repair means that it will be replaced the code. So it was like a key process. Then this is our final credentials. That means credentials means one of a landmark or one of a patent right. So in this, whether using this service account, what are the type of customers need to do this? We need to do this project for any other food industry or any other blood bank or any other health or medical industry. We need to do this project. For the project ID, we will give the temp monitoring for project ID. This is only particular for the cold storage monitoring industry only. This is not applicable for any other, but also applicable, but the major rules for the cooling monitoring industry only. So then here we use the key as a private key, because this private, because this code is in private, so we will use in within the process only. This will not go for another process. So in a private key, it will use it in a private for within the limit process. So the key will consider identity, then it will start the code process. This is our 3D modeling process in SolidWorks. For this is the stand of that cylinder is only the outside temperature of air absorbing compound. Then whether we set that sensing in here, it will analyze the air, what the impurities and how the air is, how the what is the air of temperature in surrounding and what is the air of temperature in room temperature. Then it comes in a one neutral temperature, that is the intermediate of the region. Then this is the components for the cold storage monitoring kit. Here we use that this is only the Arduino board code. In my case, I have used that code in a background as a black theme. So so all of you don't get confused. This is Arduino code only. Arduino board, that code system only. But in in my convenience, I have changes that background in a black theme. This also. So don't confuse to this code for why this code in a black theme. This is my convenience. Okay. Sorry for, please don't confuse to get that. Okay. This is our diagram criteria. Then this is our components of node MCU, that means microcontroller unit. Whether we see in the node that the chips are, that is a IC chips, that means integrated. Now what is mean ESP? We all know what is mean ESP. In this node board, this is like one of the this board is like one of the consideration of motherboard. So in this case, we use the battery adapter for to supportive for the component of node MC, because whenever we use that power supply, it want to support one of the adapting. Then only the power applying charge would be considered for the consideration of the analytical theme process. In that cases, so in that cases the battery adapter is used. In that way, we need to know how these two components are made in for the cool monitoring kit. In electrical sector, there have many kits to use in kind of. So in that way, then in this way we need to know. Then here you are have one question. Why are we use this node MCU ESP8266? There are many node. I agree that, but for the cost reduction, we use this node MCU ESP8266. That means this ESP is no need to worry about. It is one of the TCP process. So you need to know that is ESP means expressive system in 826. That means the border of um, the system of process here that does 6 components and the 2 major boards and the 8 rules. So these are the 8. It's a totally 16 process. Whenever the 8266 means 22, these components of the circuiting connections are made in 22 process. That like process. So we need to know how could you to access this code processing in a larger manner way. Then the humidity and temperature sensors for the digital component and the liquid crystal display board. This is our features process for the project monitoring devices and software implementation. Here we know the open source software for the Arduino board to write up the codes. Then it is in a running many platforms. Whether you need to monitor the temperature and humidity in a intermediate level or in a low level or in an average level, whether we use in the including of Windows, Mac, Linux, or any other Windows process, you don't need to pack that level. Okay, okay, yeah, good. Then in this particular cases, we need to know how good it could be managing in that the cable process. So you need to know how monitoring the cooling system. Cold storage monitoring is otherwise known as cooling condition monitoring also. So it provides extra options to monitor and communicate with audio boards. That means communicate in a cold manner way process. Whether the communication, your communication is one of the human language, but the Arduino board will accept only the machine language. So you have to give that human to a machine language. It's with the help of the communication of coding process. So using the coding in languages like Python or C, that is our wishes. But you need to give the coding process to understand the Arduino code with an easy and simple code language. Then over there, digital humidity and temperature sensor. It is one of the low cost budget sensor, and it is utilization and the useful is more. Okay, the components is measured for the surrounding temperature and the room temperature of the humidification. That means moisturing content of the sensible devices. Is appropriate of the data pin. That's a 4 pin you see, no? That 4 pins. That's all the data pin to sense that it's a result value. Okay. Then the microcontroller unit of the no open source firmware for which open source prototyping board designs are available. The name Node MC means not microcontroller unit of node process. So it is also developing kits. You don't need to worry about that. Okay. This is the measuring devices. Whether we see the temperature of the temperature will identify in that cases. That is whether you see no the temperature and humidity. It considers the result. That's in a circuit board. Whether we fix that's a DTH2 or the LCD liquid crystal display. This is the liquid crystal display. You see that temperature and humidity. That is the LCD display board. Means liquid crystal display board. In these cases, here it is for only DTH2 sensor, and it's a inner. It have some small component of battery adapter, and the node MCQ will applicable in this reasonable phase. So we use that PC is one of our monitoring system device to control that and give an appropriate result. Thank you all. Thank you very much for the kind patience to attend for my presentation topic, for all the staff members and my colleagues and other places of my friends, including my college friends also, for my for my intern guide in charge of Mrs. Jayalakshmi ma'am, Sneha ma'am to updated for the core placement. Then I have sent the core placement alert to my department coordinator. So he has appreciated to my improvement, my information. So he has said, continue your continue your this information sending. Please let please once again thank you all. Thank you very much for the kind patience to for my project presentation of the your kind patience to given this opportunity one of the again. Thank you for you given for me this kind of the one of to prove my ability skills to this opportunity with the project presentation. Thank you all. Thank you very much.